Oh, listen, guys, I am so excited. I cannot even talk right now. The Ravens are fully back. They get a W 27-19 on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. I think that this team, while they still have their deficiencies, they can do something down the stretch of this season. Honestly, the offense today is what really could not put it together. So I'm going to talk about that and so much more here on this instant reaction of this Ravens 27-19 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. I appreciate you guys for coming through. The dub is here. The Ravens have gotten their third in a row. I am happy about it, man. Listen, man, our Ravens are now 4-5, still sitting at second in the AFC North. This and so much more on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to yet another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. I am your host, Sutton Def. You are watching the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. I want to appreciate every one of you guys for coming through here, whether or not you're a Ravens fan, maybe you're a Vikings fan. I doubt it, but welcome in regardless. Listen, I'm excited. I'm excited because it seems like the Ravens are able to win ugly. They were able to win ugly in this one, and that kind of gives me a little bit of solace because even if Lamar Jackson doesn't play, like an S tier, God tier MVP quarterback, which he played well today, but he didn't do his normal numbers. Like, he only had one touchdown, didn't have a bunch of rushing yards, right? Didn't have a bunch of passing yards either to go with it. I'm going to get to the stats here in a little bit, but he did just enough. But what really stepped up and who really stood out was the defense for me. The defense stood out to me in this one. After that first quarter, they really started to put things together. They started to force turnovers. They forced, I believe it was 3 forced turnovers, and then there was also 2 turnovers on downs as well, which I like to call unforced turnovers, right? So it's looking like the defense is finally hitting its stride. It's finally hitting its stride. I found some solace in that. Let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Thea Pindle says, Sutton, is this the worst offensive performance we've seen this year with Lamar Jackson as a quarterback? I guess, yeah, you could say that. I mean, outside of the Chiefs game, or maybe the Lions game, one of those, right? But yeah, Lamar didn't really do too much in this game. He didn't have to, fortunately enough, because the defense finally started to force turnovers. Special teams forced a turnover in this one. Overall, just a good, relatively complimentary performance for this Ravens team, right? The offense didn't really perform up to standard, but the defense did, and special teams did as well, right? I think defense and special teams really carried the Ravens to this victory here. And the importance of special teams, man. Tyler Loop, getting 12 points. I think he had 4 field goals in this one, 4 made field goals. As a matter of fact, let me get to the stats. So the Ravens won 27-19, right? And you have Lamar Jackson, who went 17 for 29 in this one, 176 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 87.7 quarterback rating. We do have a super chat donation in the house. Who's making it rain here? I think that's Majin Bull. Majin Bull dropping the 5-piece here in the chat, making it rain here on the Purple Rain Podcast. Majin Bull, appreciate you, brother. It says JJ McCarthy, aka 9, just another fake demon. Good to be here after a W, usually part of the hashtag replay gang. Big shout out to the replay gang. If you're watching this after the fact, shout out to you. This is the Quiet Storm Sports Podcast with your host Sutton Def. But appreciate the super chat donation, Majin Bull. I talked to my guy Alex about this last week. The whole, the moniker, the self-proclaimed moniker that JJ McCarthy gave himself, the nickname 9, right? He turns into a different animal on the field. And let me tell you something. Early in the game, because I got my notes, and I'm going to go through my notes in this episode too. Early in that game, it looked like JJ McCarthy just was getting whatever he wanted, right? And The defensive line, the front seven, when we would rush with 4, aka when Kyle Hamilton was not rushing the passer, it was spooky, right? It was the cleanest of pockets, right? It was the cleanest of pockets for JJ McCarthy. He was stepping in there, hanging in there, doing a good job hanging tough in the pocket early and just delivering throws. You know, Marlon Humphrey got absolutely abused on that first drive. But then down the stretch of the game, you know, there was a point in time in the game where I tweeted. Let me go back to my notes really quick. Let me reference these notes because I didn't take them for no reason. Let me see. So let me see. I think it was in the second quarter. Yeah, it was in the second quarter. The Ravens had gone 3 and out, right? And that was on the cover 0 look. The Vikings got cover 0 look on third down. That is, the Vikings got the ball back, and then JJ McCarthy threw deep and got picked off by Malachi Starks. And I said the offense must be complementary here, you know. But before that, JJ McCarthy was literally just getting whatever he wanted throwing the football. And that was the issue. Like with 4, we could not get home at all. You know, Mike Green had a good tackle for loss in the first quarter. But outside of that, I didn't really see a whole lot of pressures from him. Honestly, I saw a lot of the same kind of ailments that I was placing upon Mike Green in the past couple of weeks. Like he was kind of getting stonewalled by tackles. He was getting stonewalled by tackles a little bit in this one. You know, so but then after that, JJ McCarthy started to really start throwing picks. You know, like I said, he threw the pick to Malachi Starks. He ended up throwing a pick to Marlon Humphrey on a pass to Jay Jettas, that deep ball that they ended up getting tangled up, right? And you know, they didn't call a PI because I think not JJ, but Jettas genuinely just fell on that play, and Marlon Humphrey was just wide open to catch that pick, and he did, luckily. And then there was also the fumble on the kick return as well. Another super chat donation in the house. This one's coming from Majin Bull again. Appreciate the super chat donation, brother. Another 5-piece in the chat, making it rain here. Majin Bull is making it rain today. Says JJ aka 9 looked like a demon because that's what non-demon QBs look like when alleged All-Pro Marlowe is covering All-Pro wide receivers. Yeah, man. It seems like Marlon Humphrey is like a step short and a day late on a lot of these reps, man. It's felt like that for the majority of the season. I am glad that he got the pick, but he was getting used and abused on that first drive, right? I got some smoke for Nate Wiggins too. Nate Wiggins didn't have a bad game, but Nate Wiggins is a guy who I know he doesn't have a whole lot of size, and like, let me just talk about the corners here. I know he doesn't have a whole lot of size, but like Nate Wiggins, man, he's just not physical. Period. Right? Like there was a couple of instances in this game where my guy had the open field tackle just right there in his hands and like couldn't even. And again, I know, what is he, like a $190 soaking wet maybe, right? Nate Wiggins. But it's just slow down your guy at least until your other teammates can get there to rally and tackle him. You know, like it just feels like, I don't know, he just whiffs on tackles a lot of the time, trying to avoid contact. That's what it feels like with Nate Wiggins. I'm not going to lie to you. Maybe the elbow's still bothering him. I don't know. Of course, he's good in coverage, but that is something that I guess it's a trade-off, right? He's great in coverage. However, you know, he's just not physical at all. Not physical at all. Awuzie had a good game, again, sticking on the corners. Awuzie, you know, I feel like they were asking Awuzie to do a lot today. Does anybody else feel that way? Awuzie was asked to do a whole lot in this game. You know, there were multiple instances where, you know, they were looking his way, and rightfully so, right? I mean, you got Nate Wiggins and Marlon Humphrey on the team, both who are making plays, you know, but of course you're going to attack Awuzie. I'm sure that was kind of like a point of emphasis maybe at halftime for the Vikings. But Awuzie, you know, he got beat on, I think, a play or two, but outside of that, he was pretty good. But let me keep going through these stats here. Let me not dive too deep into the corners. By the way, Keon Martin, DB. Keon Martin had a couple of really good tackles down the stretch. Shout out to Keon Martin. I love what he had today going on. So let me see. Let me go through the rest of these stats, guys. Shout out to you guys watching. Over 80 people watching live. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel as well. We'd appreciate that. If you're watching on X, make sure you give me a follow on X at Sutton Def. Appreciate that. Ravens W 27-19. Ravens improved to 4-5. The Vikings drop to 4-5. So things are looking good right now. Things are looking good. Things are looking up. You get the Browns next week in Cleveland. I think after that you got the Jets at home. Couple of winnable games. We can get back to 500. I was thinking 4-5. We can get back to 500 next week, guys. Great news. Great news. Like the video for that, guys. Like the video for that. But let me keep going through these stats here. And again, this is just my instant reaction. So, of course, tomorrow's episode of the official Purple Rain podcast with me and Alex will be a little bit more honed, right? A little bit more, you guys get the point. This is my instant reaction. I'm very excited. The Ravens get their third victory in a row. Vibes are high. Vibes are high. I'll keep going through the stats, though. J.J. McCarthy was 20 for 42 in this one, 248 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions in this one, had a 54 passer rating in this one. Again, man, like my guy Majin Bull said in the chat here with the $5 donation. Fake demon? Yeah. Fake demon. I'm going to get to the O-line in a second, Thea Pennell. Don't worry about that. I'm going to get to that in a second. Make sure you guys stick around. Stay tuned. But, yeah. Outside of the first quarter, which you could argue was more like, the first 15, right? The scripted plays, the scripted offense. After that first quarter, J.J. McCarthy really fell off. And honestly, that makes 2 weeks in a row where this defense really took a quarter to really get accustomed to it. It seems like the defense now, first quarter, they're downloading information. They did the same thing against Miami on Thursday Night Football, if you remember. Because in the first quarter of that game against Miami, they were getting what they wanted against us, right? They had won the first quarter, just like the Vikings won the first quarter in this one. But the defense downloaded information, made adjustments, came out, and shut the other team down for the majority of the remainder of that game. And what that is, I can attribute that. I got to give a shout out to Zach Orr. I got to give a shout out to Zach Orr for that one. I do. I mean, how can you not? You get all of these stops on defense, all of these turnovers. Of course, there was the special teams turnover as well, but Zach Orr's defense showed up today. Roquan Smith should have had another interception. Another interception. This was the second week in a row where Roquan Smith should have had an interception. Should have been 4 turnovers on the day. We had 3. And then 2 turnovers on downs. 2 unforced turnovers. 3 forced turnovers. Rowe got robbed. Yeah, I did think that Rowe got robbed on that one too. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think that the evidence was conclusive enough to overturn that. Right? I didn't think the evidence was conclusive enough to overturn that for Roquan Smith. But, they did it anyway. Anyways, keep going with the stats. Keep going with the stats, guys. Let me see. Derrick Henry had 20 carries in this one for 75 yards, only averaged 3.8 per carry on the ground. The Vikings defense was doing a pretty good job at bottling up the Derrick Henry runs. Now, I will say this, and this is where the offensive line comes into play. I think that if there was any unit, any position group that kind of got their ass kicked today, it's the Ravens offensive line. And that's the reason why this game wasn't, instead of 27-19, 37-19. To be quite honest with you. There were multiple misses on multiple plays by this offensive line. By the likes of, there were misses by everyone, really. Other than really like Stanley, I don't really remember Stanley getting beat like that. Again, I got to go back and watch the all 22. But Voorhees had some missteps in this one, some penalties as well. Linderbaum had gotten beat. Falele had multiple misses in this one. This wasn't, today is Daniel Falele's birthday. However, I didn't think he had the best of games. I did not at all. Rosengarten missed on a couple as well. The offensive line was not good today, guys. And that was the main reason why the Ravens didn't look as dominant as they maybe should have. It was the O-line. And I talked about this on the last episode of the show, guys. You know, they're talking about how Emory Jones looks like everything that they would hoped that he would look like. I think it might be time to start ramping him up, man. It might be time for a change. Because with the defense playing how it's playing, right now, how many points do they give up? Only give up 19 points today. Only gave up 19 points. So let me see. Do some quick little maths here. Ravens are giving up 14.5 points per game. Ravens are only giving up 14.5 points per game in the last 4 matchups. The defense is balling out. They're forcing turnovers, right? Even though some of the picks were a little bit unforced, right, from JJ McCarthy, but still forcing turnovers, only allowing 14.5 points per game. It's the offense now. Our attention, our focus as Ravens fans should shift towards the offense. What are you guys doing? We got to get things going. There were a lot of drops in this one. As a matter of fact, there were multiple drops by Mark Andrews. I think there were 2 by Andrews, 1 by Likely, 1 by Bateman. That's got to get cleaned up. You know, again, the offensive line, we can't get our running game going. Pat Ricard can only do but so much. That's an issue. We keep combing through these stats here. Aaron Jones had 9 carries for 47 yards, averaged 5.2 a carry on the ground, and he also had a touchdown. I thought Aaron Jones was kind of getting in certain spots. He was getting the better of us. Again, only 9 carries for 47 yards, but those 9 for 47, again, 5.2 a carry, they kind of felt significant. They did. You know, but fortunately for the Ravens, they started forcing the turnovers again, and it kind of game scripted him out of it. You know, another super chat donation from Majin Bull. Majin Bull is he's killing it tonight, man. Majin Bull is at the top of the totem pole tonight. He's killing it with the super chat donations. Appreciate you for making it rain again, brother. Says last year, EDC said they were building a line that would be good next season. Well, it's next season, and 77 is so bad he's making Rosengarten struggle. Yeah, I mean, again, before I do a deep dive into the performance of said Daniel Fa'alele, the birthday boy, I'll have to look at the all 22 footage so I can kind of see rep for rep what he was doing, because there were some plays that I looked at the broadcast on and I felt like he blocked well, especially in pass protection. But I'll have to go back and look at it. But yeah, man, for the most part, pound for pound, man, this offensive line is not looking like, you know, they're going to go on some sort of Cinderella championship run. And this Ravens team kind of feels like a Cinderella story right now. You know, I know the Ravens haven't played the stiffest of competition, but right now what they're doing is they're getting wins. They're seeing wins go through the hoop, right? And they're building confidence. They're building momentum. So by the time they take on the Steelers, by the time they take on the Patriots, right, it's going to feel like the Ravens, if they can keep winning, it's going to feel like they're the hottest team in the NFL. But this offensive line, if they cannot get it together, you can curb your expectations right now. You know, so I think some serious and maybe some uncomfortable conversations have to be had about that offensive line this week. You know, and I know, listen, it's far-fetched to think that that's actually going to happen, because what will most likely happen is this Ravens team, they will trot out the exact same starting 5 offensive linemen next week, and Ravens fans are just going to have to deal with it. You know, they're going to have to continue to deal with the losses from these guards primarily. Right? It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's not a Super Bowl winning O-line, says Bo Knows. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. Don't forget to join the Rain Gang. Please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel as well. We got about 100 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys. Thank you guys. This is the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. I am your host, Sudden Death, and you are listening to Quiet Storm Sports. Ravens get a W on the road in Minnesota, US Bank Stadium. They walk out of there with a 27-19 W. Let's keep going through these stats here, so I can keep talking about the performances of these players. Also want to go through my notes a little bit. Zay Flowers in this one was the leading receiver for the Ravens. 4 catches on 6 targets for 75 yards. Zay Flowers, it was a typical Zay Flowers game. Zay Flowers is probably one of the most predictable performers on this Ravens team. On any given Sunday or any given game in general, he's probably going to have somewhere between 4 to 6 catches for somewhere between, 54 to 68 yards or something like that. Or he had 75 in this game. Probably no touchdowns. He's not a big touchdown scorer, right? And again, there was a play in this game where I felt like if he used, again, his straight line speed, his speed to get around the corner, he could have gotten a couple more yards, but he decided to do what he always does and cut back. It feels like if you're a defender, right, all you really have to do is stick your arm out in the direction that he's going, and that will cause him to cut back. It's like he just refuses to run through arm tackles, Zay Flowers. And look, I know Zay Flowers is not the biggest guy, but bro, you got to be a dog in certain scenarios, bro, and just run through these arm tackles. Maybe you're not the biggest guy, but you're strong enough and you have enough acceleration and momentum to go through these guys and continue to use your straight line speed. But instead, he decides to cut back so often, and you guys know how that goes. But again, Zay Flowers had a very Zay Flowers type of game. Again, 4 catches for 75 yards and no touchdowns. Easy G says we can say goodbye to Zay. He's going to be a free agent. I mean, we made a video earlier this year. Me and Alex were on the Purple Rain podcast, and we're talking about, will the Ravens pay Zay Flowers? Will they extend his contract? By the way, over 100 people watching live right now. Salute to you guys. This is the Purple Rain podcast. I'm your host, Sudden Death. Ravens win 27-19 over the Vikings. I don't know if the Ravens will pay Zay Flowers. I really don't, because we just don't get enough game-breaking performances from Zay Flowers. We just don't. Ask anybody around the league right now who's not a biased Ravens fan, like most of us watching right now. They're not even ranking Zay Flowers as a top 20 wide receiver in the league. And again, he had a very Zay Flowers game again today. 4 catches, 75 yards. I like Zay Flowers. However, he's not a bona fide one, if you ask me. That might be a hot take, and I might have said this before on this very channel. But Zay Flowers doesn't really feel like a bona fide number 1 wide receiver to me. Love him. Again, hope he can, start making some really, really big plays for us. Maybe scoring some touchdowns. I don't know. But, Zay Flowers, let me see. How many touchdowns does Zay Flowers have this season? I just want to look that up really quick. On the season. Just 1. That's what I thought. Just 1. Yeah. It's like at a certain point, you have to really look at him for what he is. Good, not great. Exactly. And I don't know if the Ravens will opt to pay him. I just don't. Maybe they go after an A.J. Brown and trade for him, or just acquire him this offseason. Maybe they go in that direction. They get some proven talent to be a number 1 wide receiver for Lamar Jackson. I just don't know, man. I just don't know if they can justify with all of the free agents they have to pay. I just don't know. Majin Bull, again, going crazy on this episode. Lights out, Majin Bull. Let me see. Zay should be extended unless they plan to get a real wide receiver one. No steps backward with the wide receiver room, but he's not a one, and that should not be controversial. See, Majin Bull, me and you are on the same page here. Me and you are on the same page. I just don't feel it when it comes to Zay Flowers. Like, you know, there's a couple of plays a year. Not enough. There's a couple plays a year that you get from Zay Flowers where it's like, that's the guy. Like again, big game breaking, game changing plays. You don't really get that from Zay. And I don't mean to listen. I don't mean to bag on Zay Flowers. That's not what I'm here to do. My God, the Ravens won today. But again, Sean says, "Is it Zay or what we're doing with him?" By the way, shout out to our members. Sean is a member here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. JMI, I see you in the chat as well. Says use Zay as a Devonta Smith. Shout out to you, another one of our members here in the chat. But I can't necessarily say it's what we're doing with him. He gets the ball in open space, an open field, right? He can make one guy miss. But then after that, I mean, again, it just doesn't feel like he's enough of a north-south guy. Like he just goes east to west just a little bit too much for me. Just a little bit too much. Like if he was just a tad bit more physical, I had the same problem with Hollywood Brown, right? And Zay is a little bit stockier, a little bit bigger than Hollywood. So I expect him to be able to run through these arm tackles, but he won't. He just won't. He'll cut back. If you stick your arm out, he will cut back in the other direction. That's just what he does, man. I don't think it's how we use him. I just think it's an execution thing. Just get upfield more often. And he'd be a better wide receiver in my eyes. That's just me. Jalen Naylor was the leading receiver for the Vikings in this one, much to a lot of people's surprise. He had 5 catches on 6 targets for 124 yards and a touchdown on this one. He had the big play early in that game where he was working on Marlon Humphrey, and Marlon Humphrey got cooked again on that first Vikings drive, and it was not good. It was pretty ugly, to be honest with you. It was pretty ugly. Let me see actually the entire. Let me see. So Justin Jefferson only had 37 yards in this game. Let me see. 37 yards on 4 catches. 4 catches for 37 yards. There were times, I mean, they were throwing different coverages at Justin Jefferson. There were times where Awuzie was on him. There were times where Nate Wiggins was on him. There were times where Marlon Humphrey was on him as well. And I think they just threw different looks at Jettas, right? And it worked. Only 4 catches, 37 yards, no touchdowns, not really any big impact plays at all. Again, you had Jalen Naylor, who had the biggest day through the air for the Minnesota Vikings, again with 5 catches for $124. Jordan Addison only had 3 catches for 35 in this one. Aaron Jones had another decent day through the air, 3 catches for 22. Aaron Jones is a good back, man. He's a good back. He is. Adam Thielen had 2 catches for 16 yards. TJ Hawkinson, 2 for 8. Jordan Mason, only 1 for 6 in this one. As for the Ravens receiving, again, we already talked at length about Zay Flowers, 4 for 75 for him. Charlie Kolar had 1 for 23. Isaiah Likely had 2 for 17. D-Hop had 2 for 16. Mandrews had 3 for 14 and a touchdown in that first half. Or was that the second half? No, that was the second half. That was the second half. We didn't score any touchdowns in the first half. Justice Hill had 1 catch for 12 yards. Bateman had 1 catch for 10 yards. And Derrick Henry had 3 catches for 9 yards in this one. So again, man, the offense just wasn't where it needed to be today. It was not. And again, I can largely attribute that just from watching the broadcast angle, guys. By the way, the offensive line. There's got to be a shift. There's got to be a change up there. I mean, the performance just was piss poor today by the O-line. It's unacceptable. That's all I can really say about it, guys. I mean, if that doesn't get better, it's going to be a lot more kind of dog fights. This one, I mean, the score was 27-19, but it felt close pretty much all the way till the end, right? You know, there's going to be a lot more dog fights if the offensive line can't step up. I'll just say that. Again, Tyler Loop in this one, he kicked 5 field goals, and he made 4 of them, right? Tyler Loop, listen, going 4 for 5, I can't be mad at that. Yes, he did miss the one. There were a couple ones he made that kind of snuck their way in, right? But still, nonetheless, he did make those field goals, but he should not have had to attempt as many field goals as he did. The Ravens have an issue right now, a big issue right now with scoring when they're in plus territory. Like when you are on your opponent's side of the field, or when the Ravens rather are on their opponent's side of the field, they're not scoring nearly at the clip that they should be, nearly at the clip that we're used to seeing underneath a Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken led Ravens offense. They're just not. That's an issue that needs to be resolved. Again, a lot of it has to do with the offensive line. If we boil it down, if we cook it down, really, like, what do we take from this game? What do we take from this win? The Ravens are 4-5 right now, but I'm critical of them. I mean, I give them a C plus for this performance at best, right? Because I mean, that performance right there was not very convincing. Yes, there were some turnovers. A couple of them were just because the Vikings were just, quite frankly, they were ass, right? Vikings also had 8 false start penalties in this game as well. Vikings were killed with penalties in this game. You know, against a more disciplined team, that game is probably a lot more close, which is the thing that scares me about this game. Again, I give them a C minus at best in this game for a grade, the Ravens. Let me know down below in the comments section what you grade this Ravens performance today against the Vikings. 27-19 victory on the road. I'm going to give them a C minus. You got to win, but I'm going to give you a C minus. I'm excited about the win. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited about the Ravens winning 3 straight. But that type of win doesn't travel to January. That type of win is not sustainable. It's not. Right? You cannot be a turnover reliant defense. And again, if I'm being honest with you, the Minnesota Vikings gave the Ravens a couple of those picks. JJ McCarthy, both of those interceptions that he threw, he just floated it up there. Just threw it up. You know, just threw it up there. Very rookie type of stuff. I was perplexed at some of those throws he was just kind of chucking up there. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking like the ball would be in the air. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, the ball has been in the air for like an hour now. I know we have to have somebody back there, whether it's Malachi Starks, whether it's whoever is back there. You know, they're probably going to make a play on this, you know, and they did. Malachi Starks ended up getting an interception in this one. This is the second straight game with an interception for Malachi Starks. Shout out to him, having himself a good game. Did give up a catch early in that one, but, you know, the pick makes up for it. Outside of that, again, you have Marlon Humphrey, who got tangled up with Jettas on that second pick. But my point being is that the Vikings kind of gave up the game in a lot of ways. You know, there was that the kick return fumble. There was almost 2 of them. They recovered the second one, but the first one the Ravens ended up getting. You know, so it's something where the Ravens kind of got away with one today. And again, that's why I give them a C minus grade. Put your grade down below in the comment section. And don't forget to like this video if you're watching on YouTube. We got over 140 people watching live right now. Appreciate you guys for coming through, whether you're watching on YouTube, X, or Kick. Again, make sure you like the video, subscribe, or follow the account you're watching on. Appreciate that. But yeah, guys, it feels like the Ravens kind of got away with one. Kind of escaped Minnesota with a good-looking W. The national media won't criticize the Ravens this week. I don't think all that much. They'll just look at it as, oh, the Ravens are back because they didn't give up a bunch of points and they won another game on the road against a Vikings team who was coming off of a big win over the Detroit Lions. That's how the national media will look at it. But us Ravens fans who really know this team, top to bottom, like us here at the Purple Rain Podcast, make sure you go ahead and give us a subscribe or a follow again. And shout out to all of the Ravens content creators. Oh, we got another super chat donation. Travis making it rain. Travis Whitfield in the chat making it rain here at the Purple Rain podcast. Appreciate you, Travis. Travis says Todd Monken is the issue. His in-game situation is horrible. We could have easily lost this game. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Us Ravens fans who know the team, you know that this game was there to be had for the Vikings. But they just kind of gave it up. They kind of gave it up. You know, if I'm being honest with you guys. Ashley in the chat, another one of our members. I see you. Appreciate you for coming through, Ashley. Shout out to all of our members again here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. If you want to join our membership, aka the Rain Gang, you want to join the Rain Gang family, the option is there down below on the video. We appreciate that. You get exclusive content here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, and of course, you get priority with your comments as well. But let me see. Travis Whitfield says, "Yeah, Todd Monken is the issue. It's really the red zone offense right now that's struggling. The red zone offense seems to be struggling, and it kind of reminds me of the 2022, I want to say, red zone offense, the last year under Greg Roman, where we could not get anything going in the red zone. It seems like there's kind of like a catch-22 with using number 22, Derrick Henry, in the red zone, right? Because it feels like the Ravens go back and forth between this philosophy of, okay, when we're inside the 20s, or when we're in the red zone, not inside the 20s, when we're in the red zone, we're just gonna spam Derrick Henry first and second down, right? See what he can do, and the defenses are just selling out to stop that. It's either that or we're gonna get tricky on first and second down and see what happens there. And, you know, kind of play our third down off of that. And it's just, for me personally, I would like to see more of Lamar Jackson dropping back in the red zone. If you're within the 10-yard line, then okay, yes, spam Derrick Henry. Let's maybe get some outside runs. I thought Keaton Mitchell was very multiple in this game for the Ravens offense. I thought that they got him involved in a cool way early in that game. But Todd Monken, yeah, you've got your work cut out for you in terms of like how you want to call this game in the red zone, because if the Ravens if they continue to not score when they have these golden opportunities, that's going to come back to bite them in the ass. And I don't care if the strength of schedule is getting weaker and weaker. I don't care if we're playing the Jets, the Browns, the Bengals. I don't care. If you can't capitalize, if you can't play complementary football to what the defense is providing you right now, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's an issue. Players got to make plays. That's for sure. That's for sure. Could have easily lost this game. Came down to it, man. I was making the thumbnail for this video. I'd already typed in Ravens win on the thumbnail. And then, it came up. The Ravens got stopped on third down, had to give the ball back to the Vikings in a one-possession game with like a minute and 55 to go. Right? Did I get through all the stats here? Can I go through some of my notes? Geez, Seahawks are smashing the Cardinals right now, 28-0. Jesus. Didn't even go through the rest of the games. I'll go through the rest of the games at the end of the show, guys. Let me see. Did I miss any stats? Did I miss any stats that I wanted to bring up? I don't think I did. Teddy Buchanan had a couple of good tackles in this game. Nate Wiggins finished the game leading the team in tackles with 6 tackles. Yeah, I think I got through all of the stats. Let me go to my notes. I took notes first through fourth quarter in this game just to see how the progression was in this one. I thought in the first quarter, on the very first drive, not going for it on that 4th and 2, near midfield was kind of soft. I would have preferred Harbs and company to go for it on that one, especially with Lamar Jackson. I will say this about Lamar. He does not look as electric running the ball. I think that the hamstring probably is still bothering him, guys. If I'm being completely dead honest with you guys, I think that the hamstring is still bothering Lamar Jackson. He just, quite frankly, does not look as fast, not as explosive, not as electric, whatever E word you want to use. He doesn't look it right now. And In the first half, I kind of thought to myself, I was like, it seems like we've kind of abandoned like using Lamar Jackson's legs. In the second half, we did start to see a little bit more of Lamar Jackson running the football. He had a couple scrambles. He had a QB power that ended up going for a first down. He also had a pitch play. Mark Andrews faked the tush push and pitched it to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson catches it one hand with his left, and then he carries it for a first down. That was pretty cool to see. But still, I don't think that he is quite. It's one of two things, right? It's either he's not quite all the way back, you know, from that hamstring injury, and that's what's kind of like not making him look as explosive, or he's just getting a little bit older. I don't know. Could be one of the two. Could be both. Could be both. He looked indecisive on the run, says Kwame, another one of our members in the chat. Appreciate the donation, Travis. But another one of our members in the chat, Kwame, says he looked indecisive on the run. Yeah, he did. He did look a little bit indecisive, man. Kind of worries me. But going through some more of my notes here. Let me see. So first quarter was mainly Vikings. You know, Andrews and Likely had a big drop in the first quarter that kind of killed that first drive. Let me see. Voorhees had a costly penalty in the first quarter. Again, I didn't really like the guard play today. The offensive line is just as shaky as ever. That's going to be the story all week. So if you're a Ravens fan, get ready to see some offensive line film tomorrow. And I'm probably going to be doing my film review in the morning tomorrow and posting that video later on in the day. So if you do want to see that, I'm probably going to end up making that members only. My film videos, I'm probably going to end up making members only. So if you do want to see that, go ahead and subscribe and also become a member here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, because the film breakdowns are a little bit different from, you know, my instant reaction videos and then also just my regular Quiet Storm Sports videos. I want those to be a little bit more, I guess you could say, intimate. You know, I'm not the biggest like film guy, but I'm a really, really big, what I like to call myself, a fanalist. You know, you get to see the perspective from a fan's point of view. I think I know just enough, because I'm not an X's and O's guy like my guy Coach or like some of the other guys I collab with on times. But I know just enough about what's going on the field to kind of give you that fan's perspective. And I might bring somebody on as well. I might bring Coach on or somebody like that. I gotta talk to somebody. Gotta talk to some people. Gotta make some phone calls, guys. But the film reviews are a lot of fun. So make sure you subscribe and again become a member if you want to tune into those. But let me go through some more of my notes here. I thought that the Ravens were not getting any pressure with Fort, and that's still a big problem on the defense. I know the defense had a good game today, but the pass rush without Kyle Hamilton, I thought that when this game was pretty much like even, right, before the onslaught of turnovers that were forced by the Ravens, and before the Vikings kind of got into this pass happy game script, right? JJ McCarthy threw the ball 40 times today. When it was more even game script, JJ McCarthy was literally just dropping back, and he had all day. Read a book, take a nap in the pocket, right? Go pursue your master's degree. I don't know if JJ even graduated college, but go finish your degree, right? Go tuck your kids in bed, cook dinner, play some Call of Duty, right? Then make a pass to your wide receiver. That's what it was in the first quarter. That's what it was. I don't know what it's going to take. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels like, and there were rumors that the Ravens wanted to pursue Bradley Chubb, outside linebacker from the Dolphins, before the trade deadline, but it fell through. Never ended up coming to fruition. It's clear and obvious. The Ravens have a pass rush problem. PRP, Purple Rain Podcast, pass rush problem. That's what it is. They do. A big one at that. Because, again, and a big reason why I say that a win like today, a performance like today doesn't necessarily translate, right? It doesn't translate to January winning football. Because you're too turnover dependent. You can't get after the passer with 4. You have to sacrifice your back end. You have to have Kyle Hamilton in that big nickel position, rushing the passer on a lot of different snaps. I would love to see the splits and the percentages of when he was rushing the passer in this one. Because there were a lot of times where I felt like he was rushing. There were some times where he dropped back into coverage. And that's the thing. Like, that's another thing. Like, Kyle Hamilton, he's just the chess piece, man. Without Kyle Hamilton in this defense, and also Travis Jones as well, those are the two anchors of this defense. Without them, it'd be very, very rough. I mean, the Ravens are heavily reliant on those two players alone, Kyle Hamilton and Travis Jones. Without either one of them, I think that the identity of this defense totally changes. Right now, the identity is good. We're forcing turnovers. I think that's what? That's probably like 8 in the last 3 games, I want to say. Something like that. I know that number is probably not exactly correct, but the Ravens have forced a lot of turnovers in the last couple of games, which is good. Very, very good. However, you got at some point, somebody has to be able to step up and get pressure with only a 4-man rush or 5-man rush consistently. It can't just be Kyle Hamilton. Sorry. Dre Jones had a few tackle for losses. Yeah, I thought Dre Jones had a pretty decent debut as well. I keep going through my notes here. Again, Starks had a big pick and a big spot. I want to say this. I think that when it comes to the turnovers, I know I'm kind of discounting the turnovers a little bit, and I'm saying that the Ravens might have been a little bit too turnover dependent. But I do think that this Ravens team, you know, much to my satisfaction, they played a very timely game today against the Minnesota Vikings. Whenever they needed a turnover desperately, they got it. You know, when the Vikings were doing what they were doing in the first quarter, you know, and their offense looked way more efficient than ours, I tweeted, I was like, the defense needs a turnover right now to swing momentum. And that's exactly when Malachi Starks got that first turnover. Right. And then it was when was that next turnover? Not the kick return fumble, but there was another one. No. Where was it? Oh, yeah. The Humphrey pick. It was the Humphrey pick. That one was huge, too. That one was very timely as well. Very, very timely. You know, because that was the drive where it started the third quarter. Aaron Jones opened up with a 17-yard run. So automatically I was thinking to myself, like, hey, like, that's not a good start to the second half, right? They're getting the run established. And then also Wiggins had 2 back-to-back plays where he just, you know, the physicality got the better of him. He just doesn't have that, and he kind of got ran through on 2 of those plays. But then after that, Marlon Humphrey gets a pick. Again, it was very, very timely in a moment where it felt like the Vikings were going to steal back momentum starting out that second half. Marlon Humphrey gets a huge interception and gives it right back to the Ravens. So again, I think that the Ravens, they played a very timely game today. Again, the defense is stepping up. They're only allowing 14.5 points per game in their last 4 since moving Kyle Hamilton closer to the box, to the line of scrimmage rather. You know, they're only giving up 14.5 points per game. You know, and they're averaging probably about, I think at this point, 2 turnovers a game, I want to say. Or maybe like 1.8. I don't know the exact math again right now, but they're averaging about almost 2 turnovers a game, guys. Things are starting to look up for the defense. It's just the offense, and specifically the offensive line, that needs to step up. Let me see here. The offensive line needs to step up because the red zone offense is just, it's atrocious right now. You fix that red zone offense, you fix that offensive line, things are looking up. Let me see a couple more notes here. Vikings got to the red zone late in the third quarter. Aloha Gilman had a good pass breakup on second down, and then right after that, Awuzie had a big breakup on third down. That maybe could have been a pass interference. It was debatable. They didn't call it, though. The Vikings got a field goal on that one. and that made it 19-13 at the end of the third quarter. And I put in my notes right after that happened. I said the Ravens need a signature Lamar Jackson drive to really put this one away. Right? It's going to be start of the fourth quarter, well, end of the third, start of the fourth. The next Ravens drive was they needed a big drive to really put the Vikings away. That was the drive where Henry kind of got going on that one. Hopkins had a good catch. Henry was slipping around a little bit, in that fourth quarter. It was kind of weird. But the Ravens got to the red zone, and they ran a QB power on I believe it was a third down, and they got a Ravens touchdown after that. Lamar Jackson threw it to Mandrews. And then after that, it was a 2-point conversion to Rashad Bateman. That put the Ravens up 27-13. That's when it really kind of felt like, okay, it's kind of out of reach at this point. It kind of felt like, okay, even if JJ McCarthy comes down and does something, are the Ravens going to score? And it felt like they kind of had their number at that point. It felt like they weren't really trying to tackle Derrick Henry that late in the game, But the Vikings had some life after that. In the fourth quarter, they started to come back a little bit. Roquan got called for a pass interference, and that set them up for a good drive. Then Travis Jones had a sack. And then Teddy Buchanan had a good stop as well. But then Justin Jefferson, he drew a pass interference on Awuzie, and that was where Awuzie kind of got beat today. And of course, it's Jettas. It's going to happen, right? And that set up the Vikings on the 20, so that gave them life. Fourth down, JJ McCarthy missed a throw to Jettas, and there was a turnover on downs. And that was another unforced turnover. The Ravens had a lot of those. The Ravens had 2 turnovers on downs today, and again, 3 forced turnovers. So to me, in my book, it's a total of 5 turnovers because I do count turnovers on downs as well. And then it was the one special teams one too. I do count that too. That does flip the field and give your team an extra possession. Let me see. So after that, again, the Vikings just continued to get killed with penalties. Every time that they were just starting to look like they were going to put something together on offense, there was another false start. it was terrible. I'm sure that, Vikings YouTube, Vikings Twitter they're screaming to the heavens right now about how badly, this offensive line performed, especially with all the false starts that were taking place. One of them was even by JJ McCarthy, the quarterback. So it was just bad all around. It kind of seemed like the loudness of US Bank Stadium backfired on the home team today in a way, because they took the brunt. The Vikings took the brunt of the false start penalties due to the crowd noise. It was crazy. It was crazy to see. But yeah, outside of that, they kind of had like a last ditch effort. They came to a 4th and 4. After a stop by Keon Martin. It was their last chance. JJ McCarthy kind of scrambled around and threw it incomplete, and the Ravens won the game. It was overall a good, not great victory for this Ravens team. I think there's still a lot of things to work on. I think that you still have a couple of, I guess what you could call layup games ahead of you. Again, next week against the Browns in Cleveland. Week after that, you have the New York Jets at home. So you do have an opportunity here, right? And the Ravens got out of this game healthy. Nobody got hurt, right? So the Ravens still, they remain with a clean bill of health, which is good. Very, very good news. So you have an opportunity here against some weaker opponents coming up to get back to 500, get to a winning record, right? And kind of figure out some of the deficiencies. Sorry, I can't talk today, guys. Some of the deficiencies that are still plaguing this team. And those deficiencies are, again, the offensive line not playing up to standard, right? If the offensive line played much better today, the Ravens would have put up maybe 40 points. Again, the Ravens made 4 field goals today. 4 field goals. Half of those field goals should have been touchdowns. Again, Ravens should have won by 40 plus today. They should have, but they didn't. So it was a good win, not a great win. I just wanted to get on here and give you guys my instant reaction. I appreciate all you guys for coming through. I'm going to go ahead and let me see, end it here. I'll take some questions from some of the members here. Sean says, how long do you think Lamar can stay healthy behind this O-line? Sean, man, only time will tell. That's one of the scarier things about this Ravens team right now, because it's only a matter of time before, because Lamar Jackson, he likes to sit back there. He likes to hold that ball. And Lamar Jackson got crushed a couple of times today. He got hit. I know you guys saw that. He got hit. So, man, I really don't know. I mean, I'm hoping, I'm praying. I mean, when it comes to Lamar Jackson, whenever he goes down, whenever he gets tackled, I literally just, like, I don't care what else happens on the play. I just watch Lamar Jackson until he gets back up. And I see that he's not like limping around or like favoring a body part or something like that. Like, I literally hold my breath every single play for Lamar when he gets touched. So it's just, I don't know. Again, I think that they're definitely going to have to, let me see, Stuttering Truth, appreciate the sub. But I definitely think that they're going to have to address that offensive line in some way, shape, or form. In some way, shape, or form, because it's just not, it's not where it needs to be. Not where it needs to be at all. D. Wilkinson says, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but all of the turnovers and penalties Minnesota committed, and we only won by 8. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I slandered the Steelers last week for only winning by 7 after having 6 turnovers that they forced on the Colts. So I got to keep that same energy here. I'm going to keep that same energy here. You only win by 8 points, and you force 3 turnovers. You forced 3 turnovers, and they had 2 turnovers on downs. You kicked 4 field goals in this one. 5, you only made 4. That's an issue. I mean, it was kind of the same thing against the Dolphins, right? Offense can't punch it in right now. Todd Monken, George Warhop, the ball is in your court. Defense is playing well. Defense is playing well. We got the dub. We up. We did. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to like the video as well. Loop is also an issue. I kind of agree, bro. I kind of agree. I mean, not in its totality. I mean, he made 4 field goals. Missed 1. Some of them, again, they kind of sneak in. And we really haven't asked Tyler Loop to make a big game kick yet. That's the only thing that still kind of concerns me about Tyler Loop. Love him. He's been exceeding expectations for his rookie season. However, again, guys, I just think that, you still got to be weary. I mean, I still kind of hold my breath on Tyler Loop kicks, right? That 55-yarder, I think that he missed. I was kind of expecting him to miss that one, to be completely honest with you, and he did. In a dome stadium, no wind, he missed that one. I think it was wide left. There's going to be some big spots, because every game from here on out, again, guys, is a playoff game. The Ravens are still barely treading water on the season. There's going to be some times where we're going to call on Tyler Loop for a big 50-plus yard field goal to either give us the lead, tie the game, keep us in the whatever. We haven't seen that quite yet. Again, Tyler is exceeding expectations. Love what Loop has done to this point. Only missed, I think, 2 field goals this year, maybe 3 max. But again, hasn't really been asked to make that big game kick just yet. So we'll see. We will see. The Stutterman. What's going on, Stutterman? Appreciate you for coming through, brother. Says, what's your thoughts on number 77? I know it's after the deadline, but wow, SMH. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Falele, I've kind of conceded that this coaching staff is just not going to make any adjustments to the O-line, like, at all. So I hate to even harp on it nowadays, because, like, that's just what we're going to get. It's like if your mom made meatloaf every single week for dinner, and every single week when you have the meatloaf, it's like, Mom, this meatloaf's not working for me, and she goes like, well, that's what you're going to get anyway. I think it's great. That's what John Harbaugh and this coaching staff is saying to Ravens fans right now. when it comes to this offensive line and keeping Daniel Fa'alele in the rotation. And I get it. You don't want to like be playing musical chairs across the offensive line because it takes a while for the offensive line to gain chemistry with each other and gel and kind of be a cohesive unit. But right now, man, we didn't make any trades at the deadline for an offensive lineman, right? And we have this 3rd round pick in Emory Jones, who is kind of waiting in the wings. He's on the team now. He's healthy now. Todd Monken is bigging him up in press conferences. Let's get him on the field. Let's see what he's got. I don't think that is necessarily necessary to save him as an off-season project. I just don't. Right? So, but that's just me. That's what I think about Daniel Fa'alele, for sure. He hasn't made a single 50-yarder. Has he not? Not a single 50-yarder? That's kind of crazy. Let me read through some of these tweets, actually, before I get out of here. Jeff Zarebek tweeting says, didn't see what happened or when it happened, but it looked like Ravens rookie inside linebacker Jay Higgins sustained a notable knee injury today. Higgins left the locker room with a significant brace on his right leg. I assume that happened on special teams. That is unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Not that Jay Higgins, I think he should get more playing time. I actually really like Jay Higgins, but hopefully he gets better. Prayers up for him. Let me see some more tweets here. Dre Jones said he's definitely not the 281 pounds that he's listed at. They said he joked that you should knock about 15 pounds off of that 281 that he was listed. So around like 265 or somewhere around there, that is what Dre Jones is saying he actually is, which makes sense when you look at him on tape. He doesn't actually look like damn near 300 pounds. So, but he says he's still confident about his power. Again, he had a couple TFLs today, had a pretty good debut. We'll see what we continue to get out of him moving forward. Marlon Humphrey tweets out a quartet of pictures. Yeah, tweeted out a quartet of pictures. Again, had an interception today, even though he was kind of getting toasted early on in that game. He did have the pick that kind of made up for it. So there's that. Let me see. Lamar Jackson had some things to say. Let me see something here. See if I can play this. There we go. All right.
I know a lot of the defense has taken a lot of earlier this season. What do you think of the defensive performance?
They played great. Played Ravens standard football. I feel like we should have a little bit more, but we got it done.
How much kind of confidence does that give you when things maybe are up and down offensively, and then but you can kind of rely on the defense to do what it did today?
A lot of confidence, but I have even more. We're going to points on the board like we should. Hats off to our defense. They did a wonderful game.
Lamar, what does it mean going forward to be able to handle this kind of environment? Really only have one pre-snap penalty and not turn the ball over. What do you think is the key to that?
Just practicing hard. Trying to get out and practice, start some practice, and it translates to the field. Sunday, Monday is we play. But yeah, I'm going more easy like that.
Yeah. So Lamar basically giving a shout out to the defense there for having a big day. He also acknowledges that the offense was not up to par. They were not scoring as nearly as much as they should have. Given the field position they had on a couple of different possessions, given just the overall opportunities they had. I mean, with the turnovers that were forced by the defense as well, you should put up more than 27 points. And this is the second week in a row where this Ravens offense has kind of fell short. They've kind of fallen short, right? The defense is making a 180, which is great, right? But the offense needs just a little bit more, I don't know. It's something. I can't wait to go back and look at the film. But I think, it starts with the offensive line. The creativity from Todd Monken. I would probably like to see just a tiny bit more play action, just a little bit more play action, especially between the 20s. But that's pretty much it for me, though. Let me see. Queendom Come says, are y'all really blaming Loop Not necessarily blaming Loop. No, we're not blaming Loop. I mean, Tyler Loop was a big reason why the Ravens kind of hung tight in that game early on. I was just saying earlier that a couple of his kicks aren't the most accurate, right? His long kicking game is suspect. And really just the offense shouldn't have him on the field as much. It just is what it is. Let me see. Make sure you guys like the video, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new here at the Purple Rain Podcast. Bateman high sprain. Is that a thing? Let me see. Let me go through Jeff Zariek's Twitter real quick. Bateman got a high sprain. Harbaugh says Zach Orr called a wonderful game. Harbaugh said that Humphrey is battling a finger issue. Kyle Hamilton says he thinks that the Ravens are starting to hit their stride. I believe so as well. Justin Jefferson finished the game again with 4 catches for only 37 yards, his lowest total in 15 games. I didn't see anything about a Bateman sprain. Maybe I missed something. JMI said it in the chat, but maybe I missed something. I'll have to go back and look. I got to go back and look. But listen, guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there for this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Again, Ravens win 27-19. Big W today. Ravens are 4-5, and the season is still not lost, guys. As a matter of fact, the odds for the Ravens to win the AFC North are raising by the day. They're rising by the week, man. And the Ravens just got to keep, stringing together these W's. And you have some opportunities against teams like the Browns and the Jets and the Bengals coming up on the schedule where you can get some more W's and you can start to really put the pieces together for the season, go on a run, become the hottest team in the NFL. In 3 weeks, everybody should be calling the Ravens the hottest team in the NFL. But it's going to start with changing up the scheme. I don't know necessarily what it is, but something with the offensive line. The offensive line has to get better, and the defense has to sustain the play that they're putting on the field right now. The product they're putting on the field right now, only giving up 14.5 points per game in the last month. Got to keep that up, and also got to keep forcing turnovers. But the offensive line has to be good, but the offense has to start scoring more as well. Got to start scoring more points. But I'm gonna leave it there. Again, Steelers need to lose tonight. That's for sure. Bate was wearing a boot in the locker room. Okay, I got to look into that. Hopefully Bate will be okay. Had a nice 2-point conversion today. Also had a drop, but that ball was kind of behind him. Anyways, guys, look, I'll be back tomorrow. Again, my name is Sudden Death. Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter if you're watching on Twitter. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Shout out to everybody watching on Kick or listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This has been yet another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Of course, as always, be sure. Stay positive, test negative, and never, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. Another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Peace.